Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are starting a new session and continuing with the topic of PDE. So today we will discuss a very important topic, that is solution of PDE. As we discussed in ODE, the same order we are following in PDE as well. So starting with first order or linear PDE. So the topic is solution of PDE and talking about linear PDE or first order first degree PDEs. So for this we generally use the Lagrange method. So initially I am discussing the steps of Lagrange method, and I will write those steps as well here. So whenever you need to go through this method, you have all these steps in black and white, so it will become much more easier for you to recall the solution of linear PDE. So these are the steps. Following steps will be applied in order to solve linear or first order PDEs by using Lagrange method. Number one, put the given PDE in its standard form, that is PP plus QQ equal to R. I will explain all these steps by the help of an example. So first I am writing all these steps one by one. Then this is the step number one. If the given ODE is not given in its standard form, generally we have the PDE in its standard form. Then step number two is write down the Lagrange auxiliary equation for equation 1. Then if the given equation in its standard form, then we will write the Lagrange auxiliary equation for this one, and that is dx over p equal to dy over q equal to dz over r. This is known as Lagrange auxiliary equation. So I am calling this as equation number 2. Then moving on, step number 3. Then we need to solve this equation. Now solve this equation number 2 by the help of any of the methods discussed in first order first degree ODE. That is why we emphasized more on first order, first degree, that without having knowledge of first order, first degree, it becomes difficult for us to have a good control on first order or linear PDE. So now I am moving forward to point number or step number 4. Once we solve these, then solution of equation 2, solution of equation 2 solution of equation 2 will gives us what we have. We have phi of uv is phi of uv no this will give us u of x y z equal to c1 and v of x y z equal to c2. Once we solve, then we have these two solutions, and then finally in step number 5, the general solution of equation 1 will be represented as phi of uv equal to 0. These are the 5 steps that will be followed once we need to solve any first order, first degree ODE, PDE. So now I will consider an example and apply all these steps one by one, and we will go through many examples so we have a good understanding of these steps, that how these steps will be applied. So now starting with the first example in this regard. So now I am writing first example 1. This is example number 1. Y square z upon x into p plus x z q is equal to y square. This is example number 1. Now first step says, this is the first step, put the given PDE in its standard form PP plus QQ equal to R. As you are aware, I told you in start of the first order first degree PDE that small p represents the first order derivative with respect to x and small q represents the first order derivative with respect to y. So this is PP plus QQ. P and Q represents the first order derivative with respect to x and with respect to y. Where these capital PQ are, the coefficient of small p will be capital P. So here capital P is equal to y square z upon x. The coefficient of small q is capital Q. So this will be xz, and on the right hand side whatever term will appear on the right hand side will be capital R. So look, this equation 1 is already given in its standard form. As I told you that in more than 90% cases, generally we have the PD in its standard form. But I will take up some questions in which the given PDE will not be in its standard form. Then I will tell you that how we can transform the given equation in its standard form. So since this equation is given in its standard form, our first step will be to identify capital P, capital Q and capital R. Remember, these P, Q, R are the functions of X, Y and Z. When we say that P, Q, R are the functions of X, Y, Z, generally, it simply means that P, Q, R can hold any variables. For example, here P is depending on all X, Y and Z. P has all three variables, whereas Q is depending on only X and Z, and where R is depending on only Y, one variable. So that is why we generally say that P, Q, R are the functions of X, Y, Z, and plus the P, Q, R can hold the constants as well, because we can represent a constant with any variable. Let's say 1 is written, I can write x power 0. So that is why constants can be the part of capital P, Q and R. So now the time for step number 2. Write down the auxiliary equation, that is Lagrange auxiliary equation. So now I will write the auxiliary equation, means dx over p, p is y square z over x, equal to dy over q, means xz, equal to dz over r, means y square, and this becomes equation number 2. So now it's time for step number 3. That says solve equation number 2 by the help of any of the methods discussed in first order, first degree ODE. So now it is important to understand that how we can solve equation number 2. So let me give you the idea. We generally know that if someone says A equal to B equal to C, and we need to prove that A equal to B equal to C, then the possibility is that make 3 pairs. We know that A equal to B equal to C means A equal to B, or B equal to C and A equal to C. So there are 3 possible pairs, and if we are able to prove any two, then it will be enough to show that A equal to B equal to C. It is not mandatory to prove all 3. We are allowed to prove any two, because if I prove A equal to B, B equal to C, it will automatically prove that A equal to B equal to C. Or if you prove B equal to C and A equal to C, it also denotes A equal to B equal to C. So the whole idea is that if A equal to B equal to C, then you need to prove any two of the 3 pairs. So here look, this equation 2 is in identical form, A equal to B equal to C. So our first task is to make 3 possible pairs of this equation number 2. So now I am making the pairs. So first pair is dx over y square zx equal to dy over xz. This is pair number 1. Then pair number 2 is dy over xz equal to dz over y square. This is pair number 2. And then we have the pair number 3, that is dx over y square z upon x is equal to dz upon y square. So equation number 2 will be transformed in 3 pairs, and what is required is to solve any two pairs. So now once you have these three pairs, then look at the possibilities around. I am telling just this for your convenience, that what will happen with these three pairs. Then four possibilities will arrive. Once you have three pairs, the four possibilities are this. Possibility number one, all three pairs are possible to solve. How it will be decided, I will tell you that the first possibility is all three pairs are possible to solve. Then possibility number two, any two pairs are possible to solve. Possibility number three, any one pair is possible to solve. And then possibility number four, no pair is possible to solve. So the common sense says that only these four possibilities will be here exist. So number one, if all three pairs are possible to solve and any two pairs are possible to solve, we will consider these two possibilities jointly. Why? Because as I said previously, if all three pairs are possible to solve, then still I will only solve two pairs. Why? Because two pairs are enough to prove that A equal to B equal to C. So there is no need to prove the third pair as well. So remember, if all three possibilities are solvable, still we will only solve two possibilities. And if any two are possible, then we need to solve two possibilities exactly. So now the most important point, that how one can understand or analyze that the possible pair is solvable or not. This is the most important question, that how one can distinguish that this pair is solvable and this pair is not solvable. So look at all these three pairs. I will discuss one by one. Once you have this pair, and if any simplification is possible, then simplify it. So here you look, if I cancel z by z, then the remaining outcome will be y square upon x is equal to dy upon x. It is possible that no simplification is possible, just like in this case, no simplification is possible. Here look, if any simplification is possible, I can cancel y square by y square. So dx upon z over x is equal to dz over 1. So the first priority is to simplify if simplification is possible. If it is not possible, there is no need to go further. Now once simplification has been done, then look at these denominators carefully, all these denominators. In numerator here, in pair 1, in numerator we have dx and dy. So it simply means, since in numerator z is not there, the variable z is missing, so in denominator also we do not need z, because z is missing from the numerator. So for the possible solution of this, it is mandatory to have no term of z in denominator as well. Or we can say that if x and y are the only variables in the numerators, then we also need x and y in the denominator. In whichever position they are, it doesn't matter, but we do not need z for this pair. So once z is not there, it means it is possible to solve. It is solvable. Now come on this pair. In numerator, y and z are there and x is missing. So it simply means we do not need x in denominator as well. And here x lies. And it is not possible to eliminate x from here. So we simply said that this pair is not solvable. Coming on this, here x and z are appearing in the numerator and y is missing. So we do not need any term of y in the denominator of both terms. Since y is not there, so it means this pair is also solvable. This is the way to decide that which pair is solvable and which pair is not solvable. You have to look at the numerators. Whichever variable is missing in the numerator, we also do not need that particular variable in denominators as well. And if the variable is there, like in this case, x is missing from the numerator, so we do not need the term of x in the denominator as well. And if term is there and it is not possible to eliminate, then this pair will not be treated as solvable. So this is the simple criteria. Once these pairs are solvable, then we need to solve these. Here the techniques of first order, first degree, ODE will come into play. Now you need to look at these pairs and decide that which appropriate method of first order, first degree ODE is applicable in this scenario. Just for your convenience, I am giving you a tip that generally in around 60 to 70% cases, once you reached at this step, you find that these are cases of separable variable. In around 60 to 70% cases. In around 20 to 25% cases, you will see that these are the cases of linear or Bernoulli's. And in around only 5% cases, any of the methods of first order ODE is applicable. This is just a hint that once you have this pair, think for the separable variable, because in generally in 60 to 70% cases you will find that now this pair lies in the category of separable variable. If it is not the case, then think about linear or Bernoulli's method. And still, if that is not the case, then think about other methods like reducible to separable, like homogeneous, like non-homogeneous. Think about other methods as well. So here, you look, if I write this in this manner, it is possible for me to write this in this form, and this form is separable variable form. So integrate both sides. So this will become x cube upon 3 equal to y cube upon 3 plus c1, constant number 1. Why we write c1? Because we will solve another pair and then we will have a c2. So then you write x cube upon 3 minus y cube upon 3 equal to C1. Then here we can easily write x dx is equal to z dz. It means if I integrate both sides, I have x square by 2 equal to z square by 2 plus c2, or x square by 2 minus z square by 2 equal to c2. It means we end up with step number 4, because now you have C1 and C2. Then the final step, that is step number 5, and step number 5 says represent your general solution in this form: phi of uv x cube upon 3 minus y cube upon 3 comma x square by 2 minus z square by 2 equal to 0. This ends up example number 1. So I am again repeating the whole example from start to end. As I said, I will solve number of examples later on. So as we see that equation number 1 is in its standard form, and as I told you, generally we have the PDs in its standard form. Standard form means the small p and q on the left hand side, and all remaining terms without any derivative will be on the right hand side. Then the coefficient of small p will be called as capital P, the coefficient of small q will be called as capital Q, and all the terms on the right hand side will be named as capital R. Then we will write the Lagrange auxiliary equation, means dx over p, dy over q, dz over r. Then the time is to make 3 possible pairs, because the equation 2 can be solved by making pairs, and we know that there are 3 possibilities of pairs. So do write all 3 pairs. Now the most important thing is to check that which pairs are solvable. Here you see that the simplest thing to check that whether pair is solvable or not is to look at the numerators. If from the numerator whichever variable is missing, we also do not need that particular variable in denominator. But here look, x and y, so z is missing. Z was there, but it is in the form of simplification. We simplified and it is cancelled from here. So the simplified form is this one. So look in the simplified form that x and y is there in the numerator and z is missing, so we do not need z in the denominator, and if z is not there, it means this pair is solvable. Similarly look, x and z are there and y is not there, and we simplified y, so in simplified form y is not there as in numerator, so this pair is also solvable. And here look at this pair, y and z are there in the numerator, x is missing, and there is no way to simplify in such a way that x will be eliminated, so this pair is not solvable. Once you decide that pair is solvable, then we need to use the methods we discussed in first order first degree ODE. As I gave you a hint that in generally 60 to 70% cases, this pair belongs to separable variable. So just try to separate the variables on either side of equal sign. If this is not the case, then think about linear and Bernoulli's. So both these pairs are belongs to separable variables. So just separate the variables and integrate both sides. So write constant C1 and C2 as constant of integrations. It doesn't matter if you call this is C1 and this is C2. It doesn't matter, because it is possible that you first solve this one and then secondly solve this one. So it doesn't matter that whichever pair will be called as C1 and which pair is called as C2. Then you need to write phi of uv equal to 0, because C1 was u and C2 was v, as we write in the working method. So this is phi of u v equal to 0, and this is the way to represent the general solution of equation number 1. So this ends this session with one example, and inshallah in next sessions we will discuss more examples of first order first degree. So Allah Hafiz as far as this session is concerned.